All right, let's see what we got up here in the boat cooler. Oh, we got us some chicken. I'm gonna pick some pieces out of here. Let's get that piece. We'll work with that for now. Got to get you one of these coolers if you ain't got one. Nice little piece of chicken breast. Why chicken breast? We buy a big pack of it. I fish with a piece or two of it. We eat the rest. I'm gonna cut it up into some chunks. I've said this a million times. Using chicken, you're using chicken for a reason. It's because they're feeding on mussels. No reason to put out huge chunks of bait. I'm doing a little bit of prospecting today, so I'm trying to figure out where the fish are. So I'm going with all chicken on the rigs. Put this chunk back in the cooler. Yeah, I'm doing a little prospecting, seeing what's going on. It's summertime. Yeah, I got a hoodie on. It's cool. It's getting warmer today, but doing a little prospecting, seeing what's going on here at the end of the spawn where the fish are. So I got my regular spread of Catfish Pro rods and reels, and we're gonna just do a little smattering and covering here of stuff. So no super big baits, as I said. It is chicken. Let me put the biggest one on this one. This is a little bit bigger hook. As I say, guys, match your hook to your bait, and that's probably on the big side as far as the hook goes, but we will go with it. That baby out behind the boat, boom. In the water, one of their fishing for fun reels, one of the less expensive ones. Let's get some planer boards out here. Let's see what I got on the boat today. There we go. He's a good guy. I heard he's a real good guy. Call him for a guide trip. Get another one of the rods here. This is one of the 600 CTS reels. Supposed to be their higher end reel, but I'll be honest with you, I like them both. I can't tell much of a difference. They all look super sexy once you put one of their power handles on it for 20 bucks. So that baby out in the water. Some Andy. 20-pound line. I'm telling you, black corks. Black corks. You better be making you some black corks. Up here, we'll show you the little planer board deal. Small piece of chicken. I'll say doesn't get the end of it. Bada bing, bada boom. What I do is on the planer boards, cast it out. Ain't got to cast it out super far. Planer board, even when you're fishing a planer board, you let your bait go all the way to bottom. I am dragging these Santee rigs on the bottom. That is why these planer boards are as big as they are. I put out my outside planer board first, and then I put out my inside one. Folks have seen that on the boat and said, oh, that makes sense. So there you go. That one in the rod holder. What happens is I let line out. Line goes out, it goes out. The reel is out of gear. Once it's out, distance I want it, knock it in the gear. Boom. That's when it swims out away from the boat. Another Black Betty cork. Yes, sir. Getting a little bigger hook. That's probably a bigger hook than I need with this bait, to be perfectly honest. That was probably when I was running some cut bait on the trip. Leave it for now. Maybe a John will hit it. I think this rod has a fish on it. I was reeling stuff in to make a move. I found something in the water that's got me concerned here. I'll show it to you in a second. But I think this one may have a fish on it. That will happen. Made a long pull across here, and not a lot of action, but I think I figured out why. We're gonna see if there's a fish on here. I did catch one on I take that back. I did catch a catfish on my perch rod. I had a perch rod in the water and caught a small little channel cat on that. And this is a small fish too. Let's get him up here. He's a blue. Not exactly tiny. Never pick them up when their fins are down. See that? That's a recipe for disaster. Simmer down. Get your fins up. That's a recipe. There we go. There we go. By the way, this is what gets you on a catfish. People ask about this still. I assume everybody knows it, but they don't. It's the outer part of the fins, not the whiskers. The whiskers are harmless on a catfish. They will not bother you at all. It's the points here, here, and here. This is a small fish, but not a tiny fish. Not as dangerous as one smaller. The smaller they get, the worse the fins are. The fins on the bottom have a serrated edge too. It's like a saw blade on a hacksaw. I push my finger in this direction as hard as I want, it won't hurt it. But if I rake it back this way, it actually dug in right there. It'll dig in. So that's the deal with catfish. That's what gets you. That's what stings you. It's not like a bee sting. It's an achy sting. It aches when you get stung by them. So it's a good way to hold them right there. And the thing is, when you grab hold of them, hold them like you own them. Do not barely hold on to them. You're not going to get hurt like this. My hands, as you can see, I kind of put them in between the fingers there, got them there. Try to control the tail because they're going to go to thrashing. And about the only thing you got to worry about here is when you let them go is that fin raking back and getting your hand. But that's how I hold them. It's a good way to do it. You can get them by the top too. Some people will hold them like this as I try to do it. A little more likely to get that into your hand, but you can hold them from the top also. I just like it from the bottom. It just seems like I've got a little better grip and tighter grip on them. Bag of live. So yeah, what I saw in the water that concerned me was mayfly carcasses. There's a mayfly hatch going on up in this area that I'm fishing. Why they call them mayflies when they're out in June, I don't know, but they're around. Generally, it makes for bad fishing. I think a lot of stuff eats when they hatch, and I think little fish eat them. Big fish eat the little fish. It just makes for bad fishing, generally speaking. So I was making a move out of that area and heading down the lake a little bit just to get away from them. Don't know if it's going to help or not. You know, this is some of the June fishing, late June fishing, July fishing. It's you know, post spawn, middle of spawn, don't really know what's going on with the spawn, still trying to find the fish time of the year. And it's, listen, if it's the only time you get to fish, go fishing, but it can be tough, and that's why I kind of tell you about it. It's something to just keep in mind. Everybody faces it. Catfish spawn, and when they spawn, it generally slows down, and there's a point at which basically all three species are kind of doing it at the same time, and that's when it gets tough. But they all kind of come out of it separately, so you can start to pick up maybe some channels, maybe some blues, maybe some flatheads, if you've got those fish where you fish. So just stuff to keep in mind. And you add in the fact that the mayflies hatch during the same month, and man, it'll make you pull your hair out. But hey, listen, I'm doing what I do. I fish. There's always some fish biting somewhere. You just may have to cover some water to find them. Guys, I may have one eating on this inside board. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Just went through a rigmarole with a bunch of slow down boat wakes from both sides. Out here in the morning, it ain't bad. It's just got hit with a bad combo of boats. Finally got hooked up, not a on fire bite, and we'll talk about that in a second, what may be causing that. Besides the mayflies I talked about, they're not here. Where I'm at right now, I'm not seeing any mayflies, so that's a good thing. I'll tell you a little more about mayflies, but there may be some other stuff leading to this. We got a fish. Happy to have one. Another eater-sized blue. I need to do a catch and cook video. Talk about eating these things. These are more toward the size that will fin the heck out of you. It's still smaller than the last one, but they're starting to get sharper. These are not as sharp as a tiny one, but they're sharp enough. So these are the ones to be careful for. Nice looking blue cat. You can tell by the anal fin. The outer edge of the anal fin is very flat. See that? A blue cat has a flat outer parts of the anal fin, and I think around 29, 30 rays. That's if you count every one of those little bony things. Channel cat's gonna be rounded. It looks more, it's almost like that more. It's just kind of like you take a pair of scissors and cut around it, where this one is like you cut straight across. Plus that one has, I think, 24 rays. Getting back alive. He's wondering what's going on. Yeah, what I was going to say, another thing about the mayflies is they don't hatch everywhere at once. It's not like, boom, there's a hatch and they're everywhere all over the lake. You could find them here, run, you know, in this case, I ran probably a mile and a half, and I don't see any of the carcasses in here. They kind of come in little packs when they hatch, and so that's just something to keep in mind. And they're not everywhere. Not every place has a big hatch of them. So there you go, something else to think about. As far as what else could be affecting the bite, it could be a time of day thing too. You know, fish don't bite at the same time all the time. I haven't been out here, I didn't fish this weekend, it was a crowded weekend, didn't run any guide trips then, but you know, earlier in the week it was like a mid to late morning, or last week it was like a middle to late morning bite. And sometimes this kind of ties in with the lunar table, where it's a little bit later every day, a little bit later. and it kind of goes in a cycle that way. So could be that too. It's not on fire this morning as far as the fish we're catching, and you know, maybe it's just the wrong location, but you got to fish when you can fish. I did put a perch head out. I've been dragging chest chicken just to see if some of these, really, like I said, it's a good prospecting bait. It's a good bait to figure out if fish are feeding. And I've got a perch rod in the water with a couple pieces of cut bait on it, and I've caught that one little channel cat on it. So I think things are slow. Is it time of day? Could be. Is it still spawning activity? Could be. Lots of variables come into play. There's no real simple quick answer, and you just got to fish. I just try to give you some information, some things to think about, and you know, that'll hopefully keep you head in the game and give you some optimism and some hope in catching some fish. Might have me one on this outside planer. Slow bite, guys. Overall slow bite. Here's what I do right here. I'll show you. I got a planer board on the inside of that. What I'm going to do is I will let this one, I will let line go on this one. Let that line go back. Boom. That gets it out of the way of the one in front of it most of the time. Sometimes the fish will swim over into that line, but greatly reduce your odds not dragging across the top of it. This is not a big fish, but we're happy to have fish. It's slow. I decided to, I bopped around where I've caught fish on the past few guide trips, and it's just, they're not, there's not, one, there's not as many fish there, and two, just not biting, ones that I am seeing, but I'm not seeing anywhere near as many fish. So that tells me those fish may be moving. You know, is that post-spawn fish moving, or still are those fish that are just now starting to spawn? Hard to say. That one's out of the way, so we'll knock it back in gear. Hard to say. All you can do is fish for them. Definitely not a great bite here by any means. Little head shake. Tried coming closer to the bank though. That's what I'm doing here, just to see if there's anything biting up this way. But he's liftable. Yeah. Good old chicken bait. Chicken's a good prospecting bait. It's good for at least figuring out the fish are there. Channel catfish. Young one, juvenile, probably not even doing any spawning this year. He's just swimming around eating the stuff that everybody's left behind. Let's get him back alive. There you go. So yeah, as that happens sometimes, go to reel stuff in and boom, you get hit. I call it the reel-in bite. If you've ever been on a guide trip with me, you'll hear me talk about it. You know, you go to reel them in, it's almost like they're lethargic, they're not biting, and then boom, bait start moving and they go hit them. So we got one. Kind of got away from the river channel's ledge where the fish had been. Why were they there? Who knows? Was it food, water depth, temperature, spawning area? Who knows? There's still some fish around, but they're not biting as good as they were. So trolled up onto the flat further, and just kind of fishing up, said, you know what, I'm going to make a move and get out of here. And boom, had one on. Nothing big, nothing great, nothing big at all today so far, but kind of is what it is. I'm looking over my shoulder and I got two more rods to reel in. One of them looks like it's moving. Let's check it out. When I'm reeling in, it seems like I get bit. I think there's a fish on this rod. I'm kind of small fish, kind of getting over here close to the bank, and I catch two fish. Now, does that mean this is where the fish are? Or I just poke a couple in the head? I don't know. Kind of weird. Could be, for whatever reason. This is just where they're at. Could be. Might have been on the rod for a while too. We'll see. Ain't gonna know. But no, it's sometimes, you know, these fish were oriented toward the river channel there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And they could move, you know, they can go into the river channel, up onto the flats, or way back toward the bank. You just never know. You kind of have to cover water. It's the beauty of trolling for fish. Just gives you a little bit of room to figure it out. Talking about ones that can fin you. These fins get sharper. You get on that size, probably the smallest one of the day. they get sharper. And that one's really pokey on the outside, same up there, and really serrated on the inside. So the smaller they get, the bigger the threat. So just keep that in mind when you mess with these things. Get him back alive. Bang, there you go. Go figure. You know, did that last fish spark this one to bite? Who knows? Did I hit the right area? Who knows? You don't ever know, man. You just have to fish. Take what you can get. Again, another smaller fish, not a big fish. But up here closer to the bank, maybe this is the place. I'm not marking a ton of fish in here, but you know, there's always some fish somewhere scattered around. It's just a matter of getting them to eat. So, you know, are we still feeling the effects of the spawn? I think so. Could it be different a mile down the lake? Absolutely. So that's something to keep in mind if you're suffering from poor bite, you know, going June, even into July. Just keep in mind, it's gonna come to an end eventually. Bad bites don't last forever. Neither do good bites, but bad ones don't last forever. It's part of June fishing, but keep in mind too, there have been state records caught in June. So it's not like big fish won't bite. I've always said that. There's always a chance you can catch fish, whether it be bait be in the right place or fish is hungry. There's always a chance. So fish when you can, even if it's a bad time of the year to go.